What a glorious Saturday in Columbus, Ohio, or more specifically, Grove City. We are at Card Collectors 2 Sports Cards. It is the biggest trade night in Card Collector 2 history. We are thrilled to be here with a special edition of Home Breaks. We're not on the road, and Bill hasn't got a chance to rip in a while. So,
well, that's not true.
Oh, okay. Well, not on camera and not answering questions. Yeah. So even though Ohio State is off, there's still college football going on elsewhere, but we can't help. We're talking about the Buckeyes anyway. We took your questions, your text questions on the Ohio State message board at ohiostate.rivals.com, and then we're going to open some cards. So, Bill, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday to you. Very excited about trade night. I love trade night here. It's the best.
It is the best.
I think this will be my fifth trade night over the last year or so. It's always a good time. Encourage people to come down here. 6 o'clock, right? Things kick off.
Trade night starts at 6. If you are listening to my voice and you would like to meet CJ Hicks right now, get in the car. He's going to start signing at 4:30. A limited amount of those, but if you can't make it to that, there's still plenty of time to get down here by 6 for trade night. Bill and I are going to hang out. If you watch the podcast, you want to come say hi, I brought a ton of Ohio State rookie cards and singles. I'd be happy to give those out to any of our fans or any of their kids or anybody else. Just come up and say hi. We won't bite, I promise. Well, maybe we'll get hungry, but there's roosters.
There's roosters for that, yeah. So you don't have to worry about that. Oh yeah, come by, say hi. It'll be fun.
So Ryan and his team are busy setting up behind us. We're going to get into the first Ohio State question, and he's given us some select draft picks. We're going to be looking for C.J. Stroud, Jackson Smith, and Jigba stuff in there as well. Maybe we'll even give that away. We'll see.
Yeah. So the tone of the questions I found a bit interesting. It's a lot of okay, what's next? I think is the theme of the day.
I was kind of hoping so because it's the off week, and we've talked about those first 4 games plenty.
Yeah. So let's dive into what I think is maybe a more promising one outlook for the future, not necessarily this season. This one comes from Jim. Texted it in again. Become a Tech subscriber. Earlier this year, there was a talk of a mass exodus of talent for the NFL draft. Mm-hmm. With the start of the season, do you see that number going down? I think it's likely that Jack Sawyer, Donovan Jackson, Mike Hall, Jordan Hancock, Jahad Carter, and Kyle McCord all stay based on the first 4 weeks. I'm going to let you answer that first. I'm going to get into this first pack of cards.
Get the first pack on. Well, I think what's interesting about that is that we're still only dealing with a 4-game sample size, and a lot can change over the course of the year from now. I agree with the point that he's making, and I think for people like Donovan Jackson or Josh Fryer that we may have mentioned on the offensive line, that could be 1 year in the starting lineup and then they're out, or 2 years for Donovan Jackson. That may not be the case based on the way the offensive line is playing. Josh Simmons is certainly not at that level yet. Even if all 3 of those guys have had bright spots, they're not going to be surefire draft picks at this point. Now you still have October, November, this possibly a Big Ten championship game, and then a college football playoff after that potentially. So all of that could change minds and change that decision-making process. But you're looking at, has Jack Sawyer played like a first-round draft pick that many had him in those mock drafts?
Right.
No, he has not. So you can look at the list, and the guys that are no-brainer seem pretty obvious. I think Tyleik Williams is really playing at a high level, and you think that would be a little bit easier decision. What do you got there?
A couple Buckeyes here in the first pack. Got a Jackson Smith and Jigba rookie card. Always like that. We got a Chris Carter, kind of a throwback.
Ooh, throwback
Buckeye.
Chris Carter.
Like to see that as well. In terms of the hits, it could have been better. Got a Travis Etienne, number to 199. Not a rookie card, second-year card for him. Got a Geno Smith, number to 149, West Virginia card. Certainly not a rookie card for him.
Not what you're looking for.
Second-year Brock Purdy, silver, probably sneaky good card. And then the autograph in this pack was Jaden Hazelwood, rookie for the Arkansas Razorbacks. So, there have been better packs, but it's good to get a couple Buckeyes in there.
But I also would say that there is part of the program building, roster management for Ohio State that these decisions, even when you have just 4 games to work with, you start thinking about it when you have a break. And I think maybe that's already happening on the offensive line. If you saw what happened, maybe what's going on with that recruiting class and the moves happening there, you can see that maybe the situation they already viewed differently for guys that could be coming back for another year that maybe at this time or in the spring or a year ago they weren't projecting.
Yeah, you're always playing that numbers game, I think, especially on the offensive line. So they lose a kid like Mark Nave, and Berm sent this out to our texters earlier on Saturday. But I think part of the thought process there is maybe that number after the season is a little different. And I think the guy that is sort of making it so is Donovan Jackson. And if you thought Donovan might be a candidate to leave early, listen, he certainly could, right? To your point, they've only played 4 games. There's a lot of season left. He can certainly up his play and start playing better, build a momentum and a rhythm with his game, and then come up for air at the end of the season. You think, you know what? I think it makes sense for me to go to the NFL. But I don't think anybody would say that right now based off the way that Donovan Jackson has played. So I do kind of agree with the premise of the question that perhaps that number that we were projecting before the season, which was upwards, I think, of a dozen players, probably even more, closer to 15, perhaps will be a bit lower, but it is probably too early to say so. We're not even to the halfway point of the season. It does sort of feel like it because we're on the bye week right now, but there's 8 games after this, and then obviously whatever happens with the postseason. So, would I say at the moment that Donovan Jackson, Jack Sawyer, Jahad Carter, all the guys who are named look like NFL guys at the moment? No. But I also think like Kyle McCord can go on a tear here at the end of the year and be a guy who decides he wants to leave after being a 1-year starter. We saw Dwayne Haskins do that just a few years ago. So I think it's all on the table still. I wouldn't say 100% one way or the other, but early season returns, I think, probably lean a little closer to the number being lower than we thought when the season first started. What are we looking at here with your first back?
Well, it's in the state of Ohio, but it's not a Buckeye. It's numbered to 5. It is a Trey Tucker Green Youth Explosion auto. So you love the low number. I don't know how much a Trey Tucker auto to 5 is going to move for, but the real beauty is behind that with just some base Josh Allen snapshot action. That's what you're looking for. Go Pokes. The same Chris Carter that you pulled emerged from this box.
This is the one behind us, the moneymaker.
We have a little Chris Olave, second year, 199 parallel numbered. You love to see that. Come find me at the show. We'll talk about that Buckeye if you want. And I love Chris Olave. I've got a number of cool things from him already that are pretty awesome. So like seeing that. All right, question number 2.
Question number 2 will go to Craig from Dayton. We appreciate too, by the way, when you send in questions, if you tell us your name and where you're from, I think that helps. Some people just send their name. Also totally fine. Craig from Dayton. I've noticed our offensive coordinator, Brian Hartline, is not in the booth like Kevin Wilson was last year. Do you think the guys they have in the booth, and he named specifically Keenan Bailey, the tight ends coach, and Corey Dennis, the quarterbacks coach, have the experience and expertise to provide the necessary help that Ryan Day and Hartline need to run the offense and call plays? Could that have anything to do with the less effective offense this year?
That's a pretty thoughtful question right there. I appreciate
astute observation.
Yeah. And I would, unfortunately, the only way I can answer it is I don't know. Now, what I will say about that alignment specifically is that people have heard me, maybe more than anybody else, talk about Keenan Bailey and the value that he provided behind the scenes for this last 6-7 years a lot. It's not new for me to be talking about that. And they have, Ohio State as a program, and Ryan Day specifically, has put a lot on his plate in terms of scouting and, not just opposing defenses, but also Ohio State's offense and their tendencies and charts and plays that work. So they have a lot of faith that he can do that. Is he the most veteran coach in the profession? Of course not. But he's got to be on the short list for one of the hardest workers that I've ever been around in that profession. I think that they believe that he sees the game in a similar way to Ryan Day and can handle that for you. Bill's making moves over here. So I don't know. There's not been any conversation that I'm aware of switching that around. I think the obvious would be if you move Brian Hartline upstairs that you want to bring Keenan Bailey down. But Keenan Bailey has been in the box for the last several years. Right. So that's a vantage point and experience that he does have previously. So they probably would not be in a hurry to move that. And Corey has mostly been upstairs as well. So they've both been doing that previously and for a while. So I don't know that it's a new problem. And I think that, the ability for Ryan Day and Brian Hartline to communicate on the sideline, or for Brian Hartline to be with the wide receivers, they still really like that setup. So I don't know. They had some of these issues when Kevin Wilson was upstairs as well. So I'll throw one other anecdote in there, which was on Thursday night during the Tulsa game. They were talking about, what's Kevin Wilson's philosophy in third and 1 and short yardage situations? And I don't know if they were doing that specific for me watching or what, but I've also had those conversations with him. He's like, we like to get out there. You can throw it when teams are selling out to stop the run, spread the field and throw the football.
Yeah. It's a novel concept.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd like to see Ohio State do it. Got a pretty big one here in the second pack of mine. We'll start with the other cards first. Got a silver Jerry Rice, Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils. Tremendous nickname there.
Legend.
I'll get a Drake London Hyper Prism, not numbered, but a cool card. a guy whose value I think could go up this year. The autograph was Kendre Miller from TCU. It's a rookie card. He's an interesting player. I think perhaps a guy whose value could go up. He was hurt coming into the season, but this is the big one here. It's a tie-dye Bijan Robinson out of 25 rookie card. I think that is probably a fairly valuable card.
A pretty good time to get that card.
Yeah, Bijan's fairly hot for a guy who's not a quarterback.
His stuff from Texas sells well too.
His stuff, Texas is a big fan base, so you like to see a nice numbered Bijan there. It was a very observant question, I thought, that was asked about that. Are they down a man now up there? Because Corey and Keenan were already up there, and they lost Kevin Wilson.
Unless I'm mistaken, Todd Fitch is upstairs as well.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, and I probably should have that answer for you. Like, Todd Fitch is a little bit of a wild card in that scenario because he is a former offensive coordinator himself, a passing-oriented coach, quarterbacks coach, and I think when you went up there, and obviously Corey Dennis is up there, and Keenan Bailey has sort of seen everything.
Mike Soleni is
upstairs. Yeah,
and so I may not be 100% certain on Todd Fitch. I know for sure that Mike Soleni.
I was unsure if Todd Fitch was, but the point being, you want somebody up there with a passing background, and I think Corey Dennis fits that bill. Obviously, as the quarterbacks coach, because up there you're diagnosing coverage, you're laying that down to the field. Because Ryan Day is the play caller, it's hard for him to see that. Brian Hartline with the sideline vantage point, it's hard for him to see that. And that was always the dynamic. It was kind of interesting because Kevin Wilson was, I think, sort of the de facto run game coordinator, but I think the thing that he did best for them on game days was tell them, hey, they're running, cover two when we do this kind of stuff. Here's how I think we should attack those kind of things. And it wouldn't surprise me if there are some things to work through there when you remove a very experienced voice like Kevin Wilson's and have guys who are sharp, but maybe have a louder voice in that role now. I don't know that I would pinpoint that as a reason for the offense stagnating at times, because to your point, they've had similar struggles when Kevin Wilson was up there, but maybe we didn't give it enough consideration when talking about all the different moving parts that like a very important voice that was sort of like the eye in the sky for their offense is not there at the moment.
Yeah. And that happens. That's part of coaching. And then when you make some moves and change some responsibilities around, it's just the same way as you do with a roster. There may be some growing pains and some issues. I think specific to short yardage, the problems are not new or all that different. So it's a great question. I really hadn't thought about it that way. I was thinking about the Kevin Wilson impact, especially watching that game on Thursday night. But again, some of these things, to beat the same dead horse, like the red zone creativity has not included the passing attack as much as I used to think Ryan Day brought to them.
Right.
All right. So this
working with
another Jackson rookie. This one is an insert. What is this? Phenomenons. That's pretty cool. Brock Purdy. That's a base. What is that? Field level. I don't love a Michael Wilson auto, so I would say
you get some weird names in these products.
Some pretty weak autos for me. They're probably counting trade to 5 as being a big hit for this box. I would have to disagree. I don't love it. Jalen Hurts numbered. Go Birds.
Don't mind that.
And this is kind of a cool little, orange color match, number to 49 for Brian Bresee. Ohio State really wanted him, as everybody knows, a long time ago. Didn't win that recruitment. Now off in the NFL. Rookie card to 49.
Did he go to the Giants? Is that right?
I believe he is a Giant.
First round pick. Really disruptive player. All right, let's move on to another question. John asked, this is interesting too. It's funny, like the way we get Saints, Berm says. Thank you, Berm.
Yeah.
The way we get obsessed with recruitments and guys that can impact the team right away. So John asked this. Considering what we know now about Josh Proctor, Lathan Ransom, and Sonny Styles, and what Jim Knowles requires to get on the field, would Caleb Downs be getting much playing time right now for Ohio State?
No. I don't believe that he would. And
he's starting for Alabama.
And I'm not sure that Alabama, I don't think that's a reflection of the strength of the Crimson Tide that he is starting there.
Right.
I make this point a lot, and sometimes the more recruiting inclined, part of the fan base, I understand they don't like it. And even when we cover the team, it's more fun to talk about the new guys, how they could fit in. But I make this point a lot, and I'll reiterate it again right now. So cover your ears if you don't want to hear about it. It's not a sign of strength for your program if you're counting on true freshmen to go in and play right away.
That's right.
That means that you have either missed on your previous classes or you're not developing the talent that you do land. Now, there are generational players. I recognize that. Oh, baby. Let's go.
I got a pretty good box here, folks.
You got the good one. We should have swapped. Anyway, they're not physically, mentally, playbookily ready to go contribute. I mean, that's just a fact. There are guys who can buck that trend. I'm not saying that that's not the case. Would Caleb Downs be one of those people? Probably not. I mean, the people that we're talking about, Sonny Styles, Lathan Ransom, Josh Proctor, and others, I mean, even someone like Kai Stokes, who's not on the field, like they come in with really high recruiting rankings of their own. Ohio State has not been like they could have hit more, but they haven't struck out on every single recruitment on safeties. Like there is talent already on hand.
Yeah. Berm says me getting these good cards is karma for you getting the Jackson Smith and Jigba was a patch auto last week, and he didn't get anything.
Yeah.
So before I address that question, which I think is a good one, here's what I got in that last pack. We got a Terry McLaurin base card, another Buckeye. Like to see that. That's Austin's guy. Austin can have Terry
McLaurin.
The auto was Isaiah Foskey, former Notre Dame defensive end rookie card who didn't do a whole lot when the Buckeyes played him last year. Silver Justin Jefferson, best receiver in the NFL. Don't mind that. Here's the big ones. This is the one that's going to make Austin jealous. It's a Josh Allen tie-dye out of 25. You know what? I'm a nice guy, so we're going to do this right here.
Woo!
Look at that. Look at that.
There's a number of Jalen Hurts right over there. Yeah. So, even swap.
And I got another pretty solid running back card here with a Jahmyr Gibbs orange out of 49. So I got the two best rookie running backs that you can get. Maybe the two best rookie skill players, non-QBs you can get, Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson.
That's pretty good.
Came out of this box here, so I'm not too upset about that. I was going to make a Malik Hartford point to the Caleb Downs question. Malik Hartford was not all that differently rated than Caleb Downs in the end. Malik Hartford ends up being like a top 60-ish, borderline 5-star player by the time he signs with Ohio State, and he's not on the field right now. So I think that is instructive for what Ohio State maybe would have done had Caleb Downs decided to come to Ohio State. Now, I still think there's an opportunity for Malik to play more this year. The fact that they did try to start him in the second game of the season, I think tells you all you need to know about what they think of his talent. So it's not to say that Malik Hartford will not see playing time or that a Caleb Downs hypothetically wouldn't, but they would prefer to not put a lot on the true freshman's shoulders if they don't have to. And at the moment, they're getting very solid and probably better than that safety play from Josh Proctor, Lathan Ransom, and Sonny Styles. And you throw Jordan Hancock in that mix too if you want to include him as a nickel safety. So it's a position of strength for them. I don't think had they gotten Caleb Downs to be playing a whole lot right now. Did you get another Isaiah Foskey?
We got a matching Isaiah Foskey.
It's a Foskey box.
Wow. Back to back. Nice collation, Panini. Anyway, sorry to interrupt you.
It's okay. I was done making my point.
Okay.
What else are you working with?
Not a lot. This was a bit of a whammy to close out with, but you, as you said, you got the hot box. 2 Isaiah Foskeys. I don't know. I guess that's better than 1. Maybe.
I disagree.
Probably not. Anybody else would have worked the autos for this. I mean, they're wanting me to feel really excited about Trey Tucker, number 5, and I don't. So
yeah, I'm not excited about that either.
The good news is there's like 6 more hours of card activity that I can engage in tonight, so it can only go up from
a whole lot more. I say we do one more question. I would love to end.
Ryan, what's the time? Come over here.
It's 4:07.
When do you want us to stop?
Now.
Right now, he's saying.
Now,
okay.
Let's do one more question. We'll answer unless we don't have to. We don't want to.
We can do one more.
One more. All right. It's a topic of the day, so I guess we'll talk about it. From Scott, do you think Ryan Day will finally let the toughness thing go?
I hope that he blew off enough steam to be done focusing on it. But
yeah,
and maybe that's what he needed to do, was not just like try and prove it between the lines and on the field and with the play calling, which again, he did do that again, in my opinion, on Saturday night at Notre Dame. And I wonder how much the play calling and game plan changed after Lou Holtz. Like, again, it shouldn't be that way, but it does seem to be, you can poke and prod him a little bit, and he does seem to respond to that particular challenge. But maybe addressing it and talking about it and getting it out there in the open can be like, you know what? We're done with that. Ohio State's just going to win games moving forward. What we call and if we score on the ground is not going to change people's opinions. So the only way at this point to really shut them up is to go win the Big Ten again, to beat Michigan, and to win the national championship. And doing it, playing the game in that fashion is probably not, in my opinion, Ohio State's best way to do that.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that it kind of gets put to bed now. We'll see. It's funny. They're coming off that game, and all this talk about Lou Holtz. Their next game is against Maryland, whose offensive coordinator is Josh Gaddis, who kind of got this ball rolling in the first place when they called Ohio State soft after the 2021 game. Now, that was more of a comment about Ohio State's defense, which at the time I think was true. They got pushed around in that game. I don't think that's been necessarily true of Ohio State's defense since that game. It's probably not as true about the Ohio State's offense since that game, although it is a fair talking point. But they did it, quote unquote, did it against Notre Dame, and I hope for everyone's sake that it does get put to bed now. I think it was more about Ryan Day wanting to say what he said, and I think that's what you were saying too. So I hope that gets everybody sort of past that they can operate however they need to operate to be the best version of Ohio State that they need to be this year. I don't think it's lining up with a bunch of tight ends and trying to push teams around. I think they know that because when the money was down against Notre Dame, they didn't really try to do that. So that to me is encouraging. And Ryan Day got to say his piece, and now hopefully we can all progress past that and talk about some different stuff.
Yeah, we will, and we'll have a lot more content as we get ready for Ohio State and Maryland a week from now. If you have any interest on a Saturday evening and coming hanging out with us and Card Collector 2 in Grove City, please do so. That the trade night starts at 6. There are right behind me 100 boxes that he's going to give away. Blasters from Tops. Roosters will be here with some free food. This is a pretty cool Saturday night. I'm going to give away some of my own cards. It doesn't match up with what Ryan's got in here, but we're going to hang out. We're going to talk. We'll talk with you in person, not just through a screen.
That's right.
About the Bucks, or we can talk about cards, whatever you want. We're going to be here for a while because this is a very cool event, and we're honored to be part of it. So again, that's going to start at 6. CJ Hicks will be in here shortly to do a little bit of autograph signing. There's a long line for that. I can't guarantee that if you're just getting in your car now that you would have that opportunity, but Buckeyes will be around. We're here, and the real piece de resistance, the giveaways, and the Roosters.
The Roosters is a real game changer for an event like this. The one thing I'll say about if you're, regardless of how into cards you are, you're super into it, you want to come try to make some money, do some wheeling and dealing, you can certainly do that here. It's also cool to just come and look at what people have.
Right.
I've done that too. I've come to these and not traded or sold or bought anything, just kind of looked around at all the cool cards that people have, and I think that makes it worthwhile too. So if you're free on a Saturday night, it's worth your time to come down here, see some cool cards, talk to some cool people, and get some really good food.
Yeah, come join us. And if not, thanks for watching here, a version of Home Breaks on the podcast. Brought to you by Card Collector 2 Sports Cards. So appreciate that. Maybe we'll see you later. Either way, thanks for joining us now. He's Bill. I'm Austin. We'll talk to you later.